Welcome, everyone. I'm Maritza Peachin. I'm a contractor and working here in the planning department, and I am managing the update to the citywide master plan. I'm here for really logistical reasons. We have a packet. It has information like the program. It has the media advisory we sent. It has the advisory council composition, so Rodney will talk about this, and it just has bios of all the people who are on that. Information about our engagement consultant, a diagram explaining the process we're undertaking. The open houses that the mayor is going to talk about are described in more detail here. And then some documents that we've created about existing conditions are summarized here. So I just want to make sure you're aware of those. We'll have some brief remarks from these three gentlemen to my left, and then we'll break, and you can ask questions to staff or advisory council members who are identified on our badges. Thank you. Rodney, take it away.
Thanks a lot. Good morning. I'm Rodney Poole. I'm the chairman of the City Planning Commission, and I'm really glad to see all of you here today. I think you're going to find this to be an informative and helpful program, and we're really thankful for Mayor Stoney being here with us and taking the lead on this and for being our champion here today. Our master plan and the redoing of our master plan is a huge undertaking because it's a conversation about change and how we want this city to grow. As chair of the Planning Commission, I've been asking for this for some time because it's really important for us. It is our single most important document for both us and our professional staff to know where we want the city to go. And the current master plan was done in 2001, and lots has happened with the city since 2001. So getting this underway is wonderful. It's Richmond300, a guide for growth. That's our name for the master plan. And the basic reason is we're planning through 2037 when the city becomes 300 years old. And that's where the Richmond300 came in. In 1737, William Byrd laid out the first part of the city and in the area we call Shockoe Bottom. We're asking all Richmonders, how do you want our city to look? What is it that you want for us to be doing over the next 20 years? And the way that you can become involved in that is to actually come to the meetings. We're going to talk a little bit about our schedule going forward. We're going to have some really special meetings coming up in September. But the involvement of the people of the city is the most important part of this. As I was telling the mayor a little earlier this morning, the more people we get, the more ideas we get. And those are the ideas that we don't necessarily know about. You're the citizens who live here. You're the ones that know what you want, and we're looking for that. I want to acknowledge all of the members of the Advisory Council that are here today, and thank you very much for being here to support the master plan. Our Advisory Council was originally 173 people applied for 15 slots on the Advisory Council. And there's 21 members of the Advisory Council because there were just so many good people that we had to expand the number that was in the Advisory Council to accommodate the good folks that had volunteered. We're very proud of this group. It's diverse. It's diverse in the number of years that we've lived here. It's diverse in where their neighborhoods are. We have people from every single council district in here. We're very excited about the fact that we've got people with great expertise across the spectrum. We've got race, age, gender, all of the things that you look for in a group that's going to help guide this city. And with all of that, it's really my pleasure to introduce the mayor, who is really the person that's going to champion this for us, and we thank him very much for being here today. Mayor Stoney? Thank you.
Well, Chairman Poole, I want to begin by thanking you for your contributions, not just on the Planning Commission, but also in helping us champion Richmond300. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. First, you all know for the last, now I can't believe we're reaching the 18-month mark. Last 18 months, I've been on a daily basis talking about how we go about building one Richmond. But one Richmond isn't possible without people who can stay here, play here, and grow here for all people. And I emphasize the word all and underscore all. Richmond is obviously growing. Since 2001's master plan was developed, Richmond added over 30,000 residents. Since 2010, we've added 23,000 residents. We're one of the fastest growing localities in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and people are coming to Richmond because we are a destination. 7.9% growth between 2010 and 2015. You all see the growth everywhere we go, whether it's the cranes in the sky or the recently removed cones from the roads because of the bus rapid transit launch this past Monday. Things are moving here in the great city of Richmond. But what we are lacking is a master plan, the granddaddy of all plans, something that will impact housing, zoning, transportation, and all recreational assets throughout the city. Those who want to make Richmond more attractive and more inclusive, this is their opportunity to be involved, to see how the Richmond will look years and years from now. In this process, as the advisory council is involved here with us today, we want to be transparent as possible and ensure that the doors are open for any and all to be involved in this process. Because every Richmonder should have a say in the way the city grows. Richmond300 will be developed with an extensive community input, not just from people who are in this room today, but people from all 9 districts. And here's the thing. I know there are a number of districts and neighborhoods throughout the city who want certain aspects of this plan to reflect them, and some will win and some will not get what they want. But we want every voice to be included in the process. And that's why not only the people in this room, but those who are out there in the public, I need their involvement. Now, over the course of the next year plus, you will have a number of community meetings, 5 community open houses throughout Richmond that last for 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of September, where Richmonders can give input as to what land issues are important to them. And the open houses, we want Richmonders to, 1, provide their vision for Richmond in 2037, and 2, their big ideas to get that vision in order. These open houses will be located on or near bus lines throughout the city, and I hope that folks will be able to work it into the flexible hours, and we will hopefully be able to provide child care and also translators at each and every one of these sites. I think that's very, very important. Also, I want folks to consider becoming an ambassador as well. The voices at the table will create what the city looks like in 2037, and it cannot look like one race or one gender or one economic background. We need people from all walks of life to be involved in this process. This does not happen by accident. Cities don't grow, neighborhoods don't grow and aren't created and designed by accident. People have to get around tables, get in rooms, working together to create the vision they'd like to see years and years from now. And that's why I'm calling upon all Richmonders from all walks of life to be involved in this process. This is about your city and the love for your city. And it's my hope that you take the time out of your busy day to get involved some way, somehow in one of our community meetings, or also by being an ambassador as well. So I want to end by thanking the Department of Planning staff, and I want to hand it over now to our good friend Mark Ollinger. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good morning, everybody. I'll try to keep this relatively brief since the mayor and Mr. Poole made a number of great comments about the vision for the plan and what we want to accomplish, but I would like to end on 2 or 3 notes. The mayor and Rodney both talked about how we engage people in the process, how we get those people around the table, and that's a time-consuming and sometimes challenging task. So as we've tried to develop the Richmond300 work plan, we've acknowledged that there are 2 aspects of the plan that I think staff really need some assistance on, and one of those is community engagement. How do we get those people around the table? How do we get them committed to thinking about what this plan means for them over the next 20 years? So we've worked to engage the firm of Justice and Sustainability Associates. I've pardoned tripping over that. Got info in your packet about them, who will work with us to do a number of things. A, expand the pool of people who are interested in the plan. We've laid out a metric that we would like to have 6,600 people, roughly 3% of the city's population, people who don't normally show up at planning conferences, planning commission meetings, because they don't see the relevance to their life sometime. We want to show that relevance and stress that relevance. So we'd like to get 6,600 people, both sides of the river. As the mayor said, not one race, not one gender, not one class. They will do that in a couple ways. There will be an on-the-ground strategy, and as Don Edwards, one of the head of Justice and Sustainability, says, an in-the-air strategy, which will look at continuing to build the idea of the ambassadors. We had our first set of trainings on that recently. We're going to have more, so if people are interested in telling the story, we love to have those people join us, because I think at the end of the day, as the mayor said, the master plan is the story of the city of Richmond over the next 20 years. Don't just think of it as a land use document. Don't just think of it as a transportation document. Think of it as the story that you want to tell about how you see the city developing over the next 20 years. We all know that strategies change, things get in the way, we got to think about that. So our hope will be, and our drive will be with JSA, to help create opportunities for flexibility in the engagement, but at the end of the day, it's to get more people involved more of the time. I would like to acknowledge those members of my staff, including Marisa, who, even though she's a contractor, are certainly deep in the department, who will be largely driving the writing of this document, along with members of other departments in the city. It's not just a planning and development review document. It's public works, it's public utilities, it's police, fire, library, and parks. We've hired one other consultant team, Desmond, to help us with a parking study, because as we all know, it's all about parking. 3 final comments, and then we'll conclude our thing today, because I want to wrap up as to how we're thinking about the Richmond 300 master plan. Number 1, for those of us who don't think about this a lot, the city is size constrained. We're 62.5 square miles, and we're not going to grow anymore. So if we want to continue to serve the residents and the other customers and stakeholders of the city, we need to make sure how we use that precious resource of real estate to its fullest advantage to create the best city possible. And I think we can do that without damaging our existing neighborhoods, but we can also create new neighborhoods for the next century. We can provide housing options, and we can continue to build on creating more Richmond, for a better Richmond for all of us. Secondly, as the mayor said, we're growing. And I'm a planner, and I've been in growing cities, and I've been in shrinking cities. I can tell you it's a lot better to be in a growing city. And the idea is, as we think about these growth opportunities, again, how do we place those? What do those developments look like? What is our strategy to improve service delivery in those new neighborhoods? And lastly, how does this help guide investment? The Planning Commission is one of the first bodies to actually look at the capital improvement program for the city every year, because statute and the statutes talk about that. Here's our chance to think critically about how we guide investment in this 62.5 square miles to grow this city. It's been 18 years. City is radically different today than it was when the last master plan was adopted. We need to think about what that investment strategy is to continue the momentum we're gathering and building upon now. Those are my comments. I think this concludes the event. We appreciate everybody coming, including members of staff. Again, the Advisory Council. If you're interested, check out Richmond300.com. That's the website for the planning process. We put data in there. We put the follow-up to the parking study and meetings we've had, social media accounts, and other things. We'll be around a little bit to answer any questions you might have. Thank you for coming, and have a great day. Thank you.